old Nintendo gamer.
And son.
So even before we start these E3 predictions, boys, Nintendo will specifically be airing their business. You know, I'll clear up all the business of what Nintendo are up to from 5 p.m. UK time on June the 15th. That's when Nintendo does their E3. But there'll be shows going through E3 all week, starting from the 12th, which is a Saturday. Now, Nintendo will have a 40-minute presentation focused exclusively, they say, on software mostly releasing in 2021 for the Nintendo Switch system. Then after that Nintendo Direct presentation, there will be 3 hours of deep dives into select games for those who know them best. The Nintendo of America Treehouse. Only 3 hours. This has got me worried. And I've mentioned this on Discord as well. This got me worried, and I'll be talking about why it's got me worried. But before we even start talking about Nintendo's E3, let's get the elephant in the room out of the way. The Switch Pro. Nick, all the rumours. It's coming this week. It's coming, which was last week for us now. It's coming. It didn't come. No announcement. Are we looking... The first prediction here, is it coming next week?
One of the main benefits of not reading gaming news and just playing games is that you don't read any of this nonsense. So, no, it's not coming. It would have been announced, I think, already by now if it was coming. If they were going to show it at E3. I don't think they're going to surprise us with it at E3 because, I say this with a lot of confidence, Nintendo will not reveal it until it's going to be out within a month. And it's definitely not ready yet. From all the news we've heard about what's going on with production, yes, it might be starting production, but it's not ready to come out. So, no chance. As soon as it's announced, it's going to be out within 4 to 6 weeks, and it's going to be released at the very end of the financial quarter. Whatever financial quarter it comes out in.
They've got a very difficult situation where they've got to try and get rid of all the old Switches, which could get a price reduction or whatever. But they've got to make sure that they're making enough because they're still selling out, aren't they? So they could just cut production and just hopefully not be sitting on too much of a backlog of the original Switch when the Pro takes over.
Well, yeah, they don't want to have... I think they won't reduce the price of the original Switch because I think the Switch Pro will be more expensive and they'll still, while it's available, they'll still sell this Switch as the sort of the middle one. The Tegra X one is being discontinued by the end of the year. And I know that Nintendo, I read a report somewhere, I can't remember where it was. Maybe it was that guy who works for the Wall Street Journal. The Japanese guy.
Yeah, I know his name, but I can't remember.
Who said that Nintendo have backordered a load of them. So my guess would be that that's going into the light because that still is the cheapest model. 100, what is it? $200 quid? $250? Is that one?
I don't know what price it is, sorry.
But it's cheap, yeah? So I think, they'll probably put all the chips into that, or the vast majority, and then just completely kill the original Switch. And the Pro will be the new model which you can dock. And if they do sell it for $400, it will sell, but it would be disgusting because it's not going to be worth anywhere close to 400 quid to produce.
Yeah.
That's
my worry, is that it's going to be a little bit too expensive initially.
Yeah.
You might see after first year a price reduction, so it drops down to the price of the original Switch. Then you say, hey, now it's down to the price that the Switch was before. Greg, how do you stand on this? Do you think, well, for the pricing, if it does come out towards the end of the year, so those people who were saying, hey, it's coming out in October, November, and now say in 2022, they've shifted their goalposts a bit there. But if it does come out at the end of the year, pricing on it, what do you think?
I think the pricing is going to be difficult anyway, because I think whatever supply they have for it, people will pick it up at the price and then try and sell on like they've been doing with the PS5, with the Xbox Series X. It's just whatever price it is, people will pay it, and then the people want to sell on will try and sell on for a couple of £100 more. I would probably agree that if you're talking maybe about £400 or something, that's probably too much. Like, you're getting into, like, that's more than the price of PS5 digital, for example, which is probably impossible to get hold of anyway. But like, you're getting close to Xbox Series X price there as well, and I mean, the power difference between the two is like going to be absolutely huge, and like, power isn't everything, but I mean, that's a tough sell. And also, like, you kind of wonder, with the way the Switch is selling, particularly this year and last year, like, do they really need to rush it out the door? But then we've had the previous experience with the Wii, for example, which came out, which was obviously underpowered when it came out anyway. But they sold so well for a good couple of years, really sought after. And then I remember people like Michael Pachter saying like that they need to release a Wii HD, and they sort of got wrecked over the coals a bit for it. And like, I can understand getting wrecked over the coals for certain predictions and stuff over the years, and his analytical skills of gaming is maybe not like up to snuff most of the time. But like, if Nintendo had released a Wii HD at the right time, and like, obviously if it played all your old Wii games and stuff, then they maybe wouldn't have reached the disaster of the Wii U. So there definitely is an argument that Nintendo maybe need to get on top of it before the Switch momentum completely dies down. But I suppose at the minute there's no sign of it. But at the same time, like, we're still dancing the same dance we have for pretty much the last 2 years, I would say. Like, there's been constant chat like, oh, the Switch Pro's coming, and there's still no talk about it. And people are always like, they're gonna announce it soon, and just it never ever materializes. And at this point, I'm not overly concerned. Like, they can, if they reveal it next year, that's fine. Like, I'm not. And so in some ways, I would like an upgrade to the Switch, and I kind of worry about the battery in some ways, because I think mine is maybe like depleting quicker than normal. Like, there's still plenty of time to play like handheld and stuff for a decent wee chunk of time, but it doesn't seem as much as normal, so an upgrade wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But like, unless they introduce like new aspects of perhaps like finally fixing the Joy-Con, for example, and I really love analog triggers or something, you know. Unless they, like, I fear they won't change enough with it. I think it'll be like a new 3DS style upgrade almost, which...
Yeah, that's right. I have a feeling that will do. I wonder if they could implement new Joy-Con separately from saying that there's going to be a Switch Pro model, by implementing, these are the new Joy-Con, they got some new sticks, they've got analog triggers. Here comes the GameCube Nintendo Switch Online app to implement the triggers with, and pay you a little bit extra or whatever per year, and we'll show you, they won't say it, but we'll show you the Switch Pro separately at a later date.
I don't think they would be separated out. Like, I think once, like, if the Switch Pro comes out, the new controllers would be out at the same time, and obviously they'd be compatible with your current Switch model and stuff. And they'd probably have to be, because when you look at things like Ring Fit and the Labo and stuff, I suppose the Labo is not that big a deal for them now. They maybe wouldn't consider that as much, but the shape and size of them is so important that you sort of wonder how much they could really change it. But obviously they do need to do something with the sticks. Like, if they release this Switch Pro...
Most things that slide on, like the Ring-Con, that's fine. It doesn't matter, as long as you got the slide rail, that's fine. But yeah, you're right, the leg strap, if there's an additional bump at the back where an analog trigger would be, it would be very difficult to slide that Joy-Con into that leg strap. Yeah, there's a lot to take into consideration.
At the same time, like, if they release a Switch Pro and it just has the same Joy-Cons as the current ones, like, people will be absolutely up in arms. They're like, I'm not paying £400 for these Joy-Cons and stuff. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens. Like, I'm not stressed about it. Like I said already today, like, there's enough games to play that I'm not worried about it at all. And whatever improvements are made, I'll be interested to see what they are, and I'm sure I probably will upgrade at some point, just as I did with the 3DS. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
My fan on my original Switch is starting to make some funky noises. So yes, I'm due an upgrade, so it couldn't come sooner. So I did kind of think, I didn't think it was going to come this week. Everybody on Discord was going, there's going to be an announcement this week. I thought, they'll probably do it the week before E3, if anything, if they need to, because AMD have their new kind of DSLL beta chip coming out for PCs, and Xbox have obviously Microsoft has shown an interest in that and shown that future Xboxes will be implementing this chip into them.
Well, that apparently that technology can be implemented via firmware. So you might not even need a new Xbox to get the benefit of it. I know my graphics card, which is 3 or 4 years old, will support it. But having said that, it's a very good point. But apparently, the technology is way behind DLSS, and it's not actually that good. And it's very. I can't remember. I can't remember if it was Digital Foundry. I don't think it was. I think it was another tech analysis I watched on YouTube. When it's switched on, it's incredibly blurry, and basically like the Switch, you've got the Vaseline effect when it's switched on. So I mean, DLSS was the same when that started. It took them a good few years to get it up to the standard it is now. So, but it does mean AMD are on the way to catching up. So this is the first sort of real thing we've seen of it, but it will be interesting to see how that develops. It's just
good for the future for everybody. To have a competitor there, and everybody having this. So you do less power, more AI. Right, so we move on. Some game show dates. So this week we've been delighted. I don't know if you've watched any of these, but June 5th was the Indie Live Expo and Guerrilla Collective Showcase. We've seen lots of indie games coming to Switch. Then coming this week now is when the E3 season really starts. June the 10th, Summer Game Fest is at 7 p.m. UK. June the 11th, IGN are having an Expo at 9 p.m. UK. June the 12th is when E3 starts. Devolver Digital will be there at 9:30 p.m. UK, and the Guerrilla Collective Showcase Day 2 from 4 p.m. UK. But it's the big boys I want to talk about before Nintendo. On June 12th, starting at 6 p.m, and Ubisoft starting at 8 p.m. I don't know if they show it in the Ubisoft Direct or whether it be in the Nintendo Direct, but we can talk about these companies very quickly. And, what are they going to be bringing to Nintendo this year, Nick? Ubisoft, starting with them.
Bringing to Nintendo, I have no idea. I expect we'll probably see maybe something for Immortals Phoenix Rising. That's Ubisoft, isn't it? Maybe some new DLC or something like that, because I think it's doing quite well on the Switch. And even, I know it didn't sell very well initially, and I know people were very skeptical of it, but everybody I know who's played it has absolutely loved it. So I think it's sort of picking up a bit of steam by word of mouth, even if the reviews weren't fantastic and the initial sales weren't fantastic. So maybe we'll see something for that. I know recently Ubisoft said that they were going to be following more of a free-to-play model in their game development, which is terrible. I'm not interested in that at all. If it's going to be stuff like, I think it was Assassin's Creed Odyssey I read about. I've never played it, but I read that you could pay to make the game faster, basically, to level up quicker, and that without doing that, it was extremely slow and long to sort of work your way through the game. Like that's as bad as microtransactions for me. It's just that sort of game design is horrible. So not really interested in Ubisoft. I'd like to see more of Far Cry 6 because what's his name? Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah.
The greatest villain of all time. Breaking Bad.
Was he in 4? Was it 4?
Breaking Bad.
Oh, Breaking Bad, yeah.
And the storyline actually looks pretty good. Like the way they've set up the story looks quite interesting. So I don't really like Far Cry games, to be honest. I played quite a bit of 5 and couldn't really get into it. It's very checklisty, but I will be interested to see a bit more of that, a bit more of Far Cry 6. But anything else, don't think we'll get Mario & Rabbids 2. I don't think there's much coming for Nintendo. I think they're going to be focusing on the next generation now and getting free-to-play games on Xbox and PlayStation.
So I'll get my 2 pence out. If they did announce, this is one of the reasons why I thought if they did announce a Switch Pro, then they could go, hey, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is coming. But as a Pro exclusive, they could be doing all these kind of Pro only announcements.
Possibly.
But I've gone away from that kind of thought, and I don't think Nintendo's going to have such a stellar E3 this year. Greg, apart from No Mario & Rabbids, is 2 coming? Just Dance 2021, or is it 2022, whatever the yearly number is for Just Dance, should be coming. I reckon there might be like an early Assassin's Creed collection or something like that, but nothing much else from, Assassin's Creed 1, 2, all the DLC, Brotherhood, whatever, but nothing else from them. How about you, Greg?
Well, I would probably agree that there probably isn't that much from them, but I'm going to disagree on Mario and Rabbids. I think 2 is going to come. I think it's probably been long enough since the last one, and obviously they have like the base and the framework from the first game to work with there already. So I can probably see another one coming. It's not something I'd be excited for in the slightest, but I think that if they're going to have something for Nintendo, that's what it will be. And obviously stuff like they had sort of promised in the past, like Steep, like obviously that was cancelled and stuff and never really returned. Is the Sands of Time remake, is it confirmed for Switch, or is it like PS4 and Xbox?
I can't remember. I had a feeling it was coming to Switch, but I don't think that I can't remember if it was confirmed.
Yeah, I mean they may announce that that's coming. Yeah, I don't think they wouldn't show the Switch version of it. Obviously they delayed the game. I'm not even sure when it's coming out anymore, but they delayed it because it wasn't really up to standard. So they definitely wouldn't be showing the Switch version if there is one. But yeah, never excited for Ubisoft. Like I don't really play many of their games anymore. Not since really like the GameCube era with like Splinter Cell and like the Prince of Persia games. Like I'm not really bothered about Ubisoft, to be honest.
Nick, you should be bothered about the next one. Bethesda are also on June the 12th, and that's obviously been procured by Microsoft themselves, so we'll be hopefully seeing some stuff from them, from Microsoft. Anything for the Switch from them?
For the Switch? Ooh,
yeah.
I very much doubt it, to be honest.
Fallout 3?
I don't see why they would do that. I don't know. I really don't think they'll have anything for the Switch, personally, but I am keen to see Starfield finally. And I do actually think we'll see an Elder Scrolls 6 announcement that it's in development. Finally, they move on from Skyrim and stop milking it. Maybe we'll get one more special edition before Elder Scrolls 6 comes out. But yeah, I think it's interesting that they're going to be separate from Microsoft, because that means they've got quite a lot of stuff. And I do think the majority of it will be exclusive to Xbox. I think Starfield will be exclusive to Xbox as well. I know lots of people think it might be on PS5. I think it'll be day one Game Pass, and Microsoft will use it to try and get people to come over. They may go with, you can play it for free on Game Pass, or you can pay 70 quid for it on PS5, maybe. But I do think they'll try to leverage it as an exclusive. So we'll see. I'm interested actually to see what it looks like, because I do like Bethesda games, like Fallout and Skyrim. So seeing one that's sort of more based in space is going to be pretty interesting. And I think, they've got a lot of other studios. I played a Bethesda game, Wolfenstein. I'm sure, there's other... I know they've got that... What's the PS5 exclusives coming out soon that looks quite good.
Deathloop.
Yeah, Deathloop. And I'm sure... Yeah, they've got quite a few studios, so I'm sure there'll be some new things, definitely. There's... can't remember what it's called. No, Obsidian's not part of Bethesda, is it? It's separate. Part of Microsoft, but not Bethesda. I don't know. I'd like to see Starfield. That's it, really. And anything else would be a bonus, I suppose, if it looks decent.
Greg, are you bothered by Bethesda?
I honestly no. Like they seem to kind of generally make like types of games that I'm just not into at all. Like Doom and Wolfenstein are okay. They'd be the two that I would probably give a go. Like I wouldn't be bothered about playing another Wolfenstein, and I don't think I'd actually care about another Doom either. But like Skyrim and all those other types of games, Fallout, and just not for me at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they'll have anything for Nintendo.
No, if they do, I think it'd be like an older Fallout 3 kind of game. We got the Outer Worlds from the old developers of Fallout 3, so there's potential there. There's a user base that likes that kind of game, so who knows? See if there's, once again, Switch Pro, if that was coming. They've teased and tested in the past Rage 2, which is this huge open world kind of Mad Max kind of game, and they said no, the Switch can't do it. Another potential one for Switch Pro. So moving on to the next day, which is Sunday, June the 13th. This is the Microsoft one, and I'll clump these two together, Nick, so we can get a bit faster. Microsoft and Warner Brothers. Microsoft?
Yeah, looking forward to seeing Fable, Perfect Dark. Definitely looking forward to see the new Forza game. I think it's not a Horizon one, it's one in the regular Forza Motorsport series, and they did an info dump on it in May, and a lot of the stuff in there looks very interesting. So... yeah, to be honest, with Microsoft, obviously we'll see Halo as well. I'm sure we'll see Halo. We might get a release of the multiplayer, like on the day, because I remember reading they were considering releasing the multiplayer first and then releasing the main campaign later in the year. I'm looking forward to seeing all of them, to be honest. And any surprises, it's been a while now since Microsoft have bought a lot of these companies. So I think this is the year they need to show something, because I remember last year when the launch trailers for the consoles, for the new consoles came out, the PS5 one honestly blew me away. I was so impressed with some of the trailers in that. The Microsoft one was dull as hell. It was so boring. Nothing really interesting for me in that one. So it's a bit weird that I bought an Xbox, but it is for Game Pass. And I'm perfectly happy I've got a huge list of stuff that I'll just play through. But obviously it would be nice to see what's coming in the future as well. So I'm looking forward to this. Definitely going to watch it. Warner Brothers, I don't have anything to say about, to be honest.
In terms of Warner Brothers, I think the only thing for Switch we'll see is Lego Star Wars: A Skywalker Saga, which has been delayed a few times now, so they'll probably show that as a kind of last hurrah and give us a date. Microsoft, though, Greg, the only kind of thing I think that could touch upon hitting the Switch is xCloud Game Pass. I personally don't think they will arrive, but what's your feelings on that?
Yeah, I wouldn't be convinced they'd arrive either, but yes, I would agree if they'd maybe have, if they were going to bring xCloud over, I would imagine it would be like a limited version of xCloud. It wouldn't be everything that's available. Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see Microsoft's conference out of curiosity, because there's an argument to keep my Xbox around until seeing what they would have to offer. Like if they're going to show like an amazing new Banjo-Kazooie or Conquer or something. Even then, I still don't think I would have been overly swayed. I mean, the last job they done on Banjo with nuts and bolts is like, it looks hideous, because I actually tried to play it last week and it looks terrible. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Like, but I don't think they will actually have that much for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just my last few 2 cents on the xCloud situation on Switch. I have a feeling if it did come, and it's reasonably priced as it is, it would kind of cannibalize all the kind of indie and third-party sales on the Switch eShop, which I think Nintendo would be very
can't see it at
reticent
all, to be honest.
Reticent to put on there. It's such a disincentive to getting indies and third parties on there. And they'll just go to Microsoft's infrastructure instead.
I honestly think that Microsoft's strategy is you can play our games anywhere you want, except on Nintendo and Sony. And they just want you in the ecosystem. And I just think, first of all, I don't think Nintendo would allow it. And second of all, I don't think it's the right strategy for Microsoft. I think what they've been doing with putting games like Ori and Cuphead on the Switch is a much better approach. Because they can then say, oh, you enjoyed these games that we developed. Well, we've got more on Game Pass. You can subscribe. Have you got a phone or a PC? Yes, you have.
xCloud on your phone.
Exactly. So that's the long-term plan, I think.
The only thing I would say almost against that would be, I think, wasn't it during the Apple and Epic court case, wasn't there some like documents about like Microsoft wanting or discussions were being had to try and get xCloud on Switch and stuff. I don't know any details about that, but they're obviously
they were interested in it from what
thinking
I remember.
about it.
Yeah, I think they there's loads of good videos on this on YouTube. Hogue Law, for example, went into a lot of detail, and from what I remember, it was discussed internally, but they decided in the end not to go with it, as far as I remember.
Like, personally, something like xCloud coming to the Switch would satiate me, I think, in terms of, like, it would give me a chance, if I wanted it, to play a few of those other things without having to buy this expensive console again.
You won't lose any money again anyway. So moving on to some of the Japanese ones, we'll focus on the last ones. June the 13th, we've got Square Enix. June the 14th, we got Capcom. And June the 15th, Bandai Namco. These are all the three kind of big Japanese developers before Nintendo take the last spot on June the 15th, which is at 5 p.m. Anything interesting you coming from those kind of Japanese developers there, Nick?
I am desperate to play Dragon Quest III Remaster. I think it looks incredible.
Was it 2D HD?
Yeah. It looks so much better than Octopath and Project Triangle Strategy, just because it's got a bit of colour in it. It's not black and brown and grey and everything. And it looks fantastic. So I'm very, very keen to play that. Looking forward to Project Triangle Strategy as well. I hope that Final Fantasy VII Remake comes to Xbox. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of good stuff for all three major consoles from Square Enix. I didn't mention before as well, but I think Kojima's game's going to be coming. I think Microsoft have probably signed him to an exclusive game, and it's probably cost them a lot of money, but I'm keen to see that as well. I know that's not Square Enix, but yeah. Capcom, we already know their plans for the next 10 years, so I don't think we'll see any surprises there. And Bandai Namco, I don't know, to be honest. I don't know what they could show, but I'm looking forward to Square Enix, definitely.
How about you, Greg? Any of the Japanese giants?
I don't think there'll be that much of interest, to be honest. Square Enix, I'm not sure.
Will we see more Dragon Quest 12?
Maybe. I'm also wondering about the technical feasibility of something like the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Could it potentially come to the Switch?
Oh, I don't think
Probably
so.
Not. I wouldn't think so, but Capcom will probably throw us some rubbish Resident Evil game.
Load of ports.
Yeah, and or like a Revelations 3 or something. Which wouldn't appeal it in the slightest. The only thing I'd really want there, I think, Bandai Namco is. I mean, there was talk of Ridge Racer 8 a few years ago. Like, I wouldn't mind a Ridge Racer on Switch. Like, that would be more towards the type of racer I'd probably be interested in than, like, obviously Forza Horizon or Burnout Paradise. Something like that would be better for me.
Yeah, same. Once they've shown all the Dragon Quest stuff, Square Enix, I think that's pretty much it for Nintendo Switch from them. And then Bandai Namco, I can't. They've done Pac-Man 99, haven't they? And they worked on new Pokemon Snap. I can't see them doing much either. There's been heavily rumored that the new Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is coming Switch way. Switchwards couldn't care less anyway. But as for Capcom, a Resident Evil title? Hasn't there been a rumoured Resident Evil Revelations 3, that kind of thing? Maybe we'll see a possibility of that popping up. We'll see maybe some Monster Hunter DLC for Rise, and obviously they're gonna show more of Monster Hunter Stories 2 as well. Ace Attorney game, which is coming out, is not out yet. We'll see that, a lot more of that as well. But I'd like them to I don't know, and I don't know how they can do it, but expand the Capcom Arcade Stadium collection. Have a few more packs and give us some deals on there as well, some discounts, so I can pick up some of the earlier previous packs, which I haven't picked up yet. And I love to play through some of those old Capcom Arcade games there. So that kind of concludes. Any last words, boys? There with the pre-Nintendo stuff.
I think it's going to be a good show. I think it's going to be exciting. I think we'll see lots of good announcements. And it's a shame that Sony aren't going to be there, I would say as well.
It does feel funny going through that list and then not mentioning, hey, and Sony's announcement is on this day, and it's just not there. Amazing.
Yeah, it's a bit strange. Yeah, I think for me, it's pretty much the usual. This is just going to be Nintendo that I'm really looking forward to hopefully give me at least one or two decent surprises, like they did in the last Direct, obviously with Mario Golf and Skyward Sword. That's all I really need, because if the last week or two has taught me anything, it's just I don't need that much. I just need a couple of really, really good games every now and again, and that's I'll be sorted.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a like if you've enjoyed our content. You can also check out our other great content on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and the N-E Café podcast from all good podcast providers. Just follow the links in the description below.